Hello, it's Wednesday, September the 30th here in Vietnam, and coverage of the latest events are just minutes away on VTV News Live. I'm Lan. Here's what ahead. State President Cuban President begins official visit to Cuba. Vietnam rose 12 spots in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report. And later efforts to preserve the authentic value of Royal Court music. Now, after completing his trip to the United Nations summit held in New York, President Cuban President and his delegation arrived in Cuba on Tuesday, beginning his official visit to the country at the invitation of Cuban President of the State Council and Council of Ministers, Raul Castro. The Cuban president hosted an official reception for State President Cuban President at the Palace of the Revolution in Havana. After the reception, the two presidents reviewed the achievements between Vietnam and Cuba over the past 55 years of diplomatic relations. The two leaders also discussed measures to continue boosting these long-standing relations in the coming time. Now, State President Cuban President also talked with Cuban National Assembly President Esteban Lazo earlier on Tuesday. He said that Vietnam is resolved to deepening the traditional solidarity and comprehensive cooperation the country has enjoyed with Cuba. The Vietnamese state leader highly valued the cooperation between the two countries' legislative bodies, as well as the Cuban National Assembly's significant contributions to the success of the 132nd Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, or IPU 132, hosted by Vietnam earlier this year. The Cuban legislative leaders said that the Cuban National Assembly is determined to work together with its Vietnamese counterpart to enhance bilateral relations, especially in the economic, trade, and investment sectors, as well as at inter-parliamentary organizations, striving to make our legislative ties into a crucial factor in the special Vietnam-Cuban relationship. Cuba stays ready to work as a bridge for Vietnam to foster its multifaceted cooperation with our countries in the Latin American and Caribbean regions. Now, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng chaired the government's monthly meeting for September in Hanoi this morning. Cabinet discussions focused on labor productivity, medical fees, and the suspension of road tolls for motorcycles. A report by the Ministry of Planning and Investment showed that last year's total labor productivity reached nearly 75 million Vietnamese dong per worker, which is equivalent to over $3,500. Now, this is a rise of nearly 5% compared to 2 years ago and has improved compared to other ASEAN countries. However, Vietnam's labor productivity is still markedly lower than some other countries in the region, such as Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Cabinet members also discussed a number of solutions to improve this in the future. Also at the meeting, the Cabinet heard a report on the suspension of road tolls for motorcycles and discussed whether this practice should continue in the coming time. In other news, a conference to review the collaboration between Vietnam, ASEAN, and India took place in Hanoi on September the 29th. The event was organized by Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics. We have more to follow. Now, moving on now to other news, Vietnam rose 12 spots in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Report for the 2015-2016 period, which was announced on Tuesday. Vietnam now ranks the 56th out of 140 countries with 4.3 points. Vietnam's ranking has been on the rise over the past 3 years. The country was ranked at the 75th out of 144 countries in 2012, 70th out of 148 in 2013, and the 60th of 144 countries last year. In Asia, Vietnam's Global Competitiveness Index is ranked the 5th after Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Now, recently, Vietnamese enterprises have been quickly moving toward integration. However, their competitiveness in the global market is still low. So what are the solutions for this? We will find out more in the following report.
As of now, there are 40,000 enterprises operating in the Mekong Delta region, among which small and medium-sized enterprises account for 90%. Therefore, the number of enterprises capable of competing in a globally integrated market is relatively low.
Enterprises from other countries are thoroughly prepared in advance and therefore have excellent trade capacity. Meanwhile, Vietnamese enterprises are limited in both finance and management, which is a huge challenge for them.
According to experts, in the context of integration, enterprises should focus on renovating products and defining their product chain in the market. This can help them avoid inefficient investments.
We should grasp opportunities from free trade agreements with developed countries to further invest in manufacturing high-tech products. By this, export activities will prosper.
However, there remain several issues in carrying out the plan. One urgent task is enhancing enterprises' competitiveness through favorable mechanisms and policies.
If we do not give priority to boosting this region's technology products, we will be stuck. Therefore, localities need an effective linkage model to help raise competitiveness.
Economic integration has opened commercial doors for enterprises in the Mekong Delta in particular and across the country in general. However, there remains the question of how many enterprises will be able to grasp this chance and stay competitive on the global playing field. In this situation, it is imperative for authorities at all levels to create favorable conditions for enterprises.
Now, we're now getting back to the stories of Vietnam, ASEAN and India collaboration. As we said earlier, a conference to review the collaboration between Vietnam, ASEAN and India took place in Hanoi on September the 29th. Now, the event was organized by Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics. We have more to follow.
The Vietnam-India relationship has rested on 40-year solid foundations following India's support for Vietnam at the Geneva Conference in 1954. Nowadays, the bilateral relationship between Vietnam and India has deepened and expanded in different sectors.
The diplomatic relations between Vietnam and India is based on 5 main pillars. They are security and national defense, energy, economic, culture, and political diplomatic relations.
According to experts, Vietnam, ASEAN and Indian relations will develop more strongly, especially under further and deeper integration in the region.
Vietnam, ASEAN and India are very dynamic regions. India is developing very fast. ASEAN has the geographical advantage in the Asia-Pacific region, connecting different countries in the region. India considers Vietnam as an important pillar in its Look-East policy. India wants to expand its influence in the Asia-Pacific region. Vietnam is an important link for India to get closer to other countries in the Southeast Asia and East Asia.
Currently, total trade turnover between ASEAN and India stands at around $76 billion, which is still modest considering its huge potential.
The most important priority, I would say economic cooperation, is our strategic priority today. And that is because we have excellent political and defense relations with Vietnam in particular.
The conference will run until September 30th with more research papers on the prospects of collaboration in different aspects, including social, cultural, religion, and education sectors.
Moving on now to other news, Vietnam's total retail sales and services revenue reached $110 billion, rising 9.8% over the same period last year, or 9.1% excluding inflation. Now, according to the General Statistics Office, or GSO, the retail sales of goods and services in September alone is estimated to reach $12.27 billion, a 0.6% growth against August. Revenues in some sectors saw a handsome increase. Food and foodstuffs increased 15%. Household appliances rose 13.2%. Garments and textile were up 10.9%. And transport services are estimated to increase 8.1%. Purchasing power was one indicator reflecting the macroeconomic recoveries in the first 9 months of this year. Meanwhile, according to the GSO, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, in September continued its downward trend from August. Now, the northern province of In Bai has implemented a scheme to boost socio-economic development in recent years. The scheme is aimed to eradicate poverty and ensure social security in the province. Now, the following story takes a more in-depth look at the scheme's achievements and future plans.
$13 used to be the monthly income of Zhang Tizer's family. Zhe's family received support in terms of seedlings, livestock, and grants from the local authorities. However, her family was still one of the poorest households in Suizang commune.
I got married early with 3 children while my husband was working in another province. Although the local authority helped us, our life seems to be still tough.
It is necessary to raise public awareness on taking more active role to develop their livelihoods and family incomes. In the long run, they cannot depend entirely on grants and support.
The province Socio-Economic Development Plan targeted households like Zhang Tizer's. Under the scheme, the local community was provided with an array of training courses on production methods and farming techniques. The local community transformed 3,000 hectares of rice to planting corn. They have not only ensured food for themselves, but also produced enough to sell.
People are far more settled now. They have settled and acquired knowledge to run production themselves. That improvement is really significant.
Thanks to the scheme, the current rate of poor household has decreased from 70% to 50%.
Communication is the first step to raise awareness of local community. Then, the province will focus on human resource development and vocation training. Not to mention technological improvement will be boosted to add more values to local products.
According to the local authority, the province will take advantage of infrastructure from the recently inaugurated Hanoi-Lào Cai Highway and other facilities to boost the development.
Let's now have a look at the value of Vietnamese dong against some major currencies around the world. Coming up next on VTV News, overseas Vietnamese will be exempt from requiring visas to enter Vietnam. And later efforts to preserve the authentic value of rare royal court music. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the 10th ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Transnational Crime opened on Tuesday in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Representatives from ASEAN members at the event agreed to adopt the Kuala Lumpur Declaration in combating transnational crime, with focus on cooperation on piracy and the ASEAN Action Plan on the prevention of human trafficking. Speaking at the conference, Minister of Public Security General Trần Đại Quang said that Vietnam has targeting crime related to drug dealing, human trafficking, and high-tech crimes. With transnational organized crime having gone global, Minister Trần Đại Quang said that Vietnam's Ministry of Public Security has collaborated with the authorities and law enforcement agency of ASEAN stakeholders in the verification, investigation, and enforcement process. Moreover, Vietnam also requests the stakeholders to further enhance the sharing of information and exchange of experiences in transnational cases. Now, overseas Vietnamese will be exempt from requiring visas to enter Vietnam. This is according to a new government decision. Instead, they will be granted visa-exempt certificates valid for 5 years. Overseas Vietnamese holding foreign passports and their foreign husbands, wives, and children will be allowed to enter the country without a visa for up to 90 days. In order to be granted visa-exempt certificates at representative offices abroad, overseas Vietnamese need to have a valid passport, a document proving they are ethnically Vietnamese, and a guarantee from an overseas Vietnamese association based in the country of residence. Now, husbands, wives, and children of overseas Vietnamese will also need to submit documents proving the relationship to the Vietnamese applicant. Over the next 3 years, Vietnam will further integrate into the regional and international economy through several important trade deals. This economic integration will require intense human resources training, especially in finance and banking. The number of students enrolling in this sector remains relatively high, as evidenced by the recent entrance exam. This is a positive sign for the human resource preparation process. We have more in the following.
This year, the Hanoi-based private finance and banking university enrolled 900 students. Experts forecast that the number of students enrolling in finance will continue to increase in the coming time.
In the context of further integration, Vietnam's economy is expected to prosper. Therefore, the demand for officers in banking and administration remains high. The question is whether the university system can meet the demand for competitive human resources or not.
This year witnessed a decrease in the number of students enrolling in finance and banking. However, for the economy, the importance of human resources in this sector is undeniable.
The finance and banking industry is very important. If we do not provide enough qualified human resources in this major, the finance and banking sector cannot operate well.
Making a breakthrough in human resources is one of the 3 main targets set by the government in the period of 2011 to 2016. Thorough preparation of each individual and university in order to contribute to the sustainable development of the economy.
In some related news, in 2008, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng approved a project promoting the teaching and learning of foreign languages within the national education system for the period of 2008 to 2020, referenced to as a National Project 2020. Now, one of the objectives of the scheme is to develop language learning communities across the country, especially in mountainous areas. The next report takes you to Sơn La province in the northwestern region to learn more about this model.
This is a community-based language class in Mộc Châu district, Sơn La province, one of the localities included in National Project 2020. Children learn how to greet and introduce themselves in English, while travel staff, tour operators and local youth learn English for tourism purposes.
Now I can introduce some local specialties, cultural features and tourism sites to foreign visitors in English.
The 23 volunteers teachers are students from the Faculty of Foreign Languages at Tây Bắc University. They were selected on merit-based and social skills criteria. Earlier, the faculty assigned the teachers to compile teaching materials, develop a curriculum, and provide training for these volunteer students. At first, the children were shy about learning English. Now they have become more confident. We've divided them into small groups to play games and communicate with. Other districts such as Quỳnh Nhai, Mường La and Sơn La City are also included in the teaching program initiated by Tây Bắc University.
This is a meaningful program. It not only benefits the students who learn a lot and gain more knowledge after the courses, it also boosts the English learning community in local areas, contributing to the socio-economic development of the locality.
Over $40 million from the state budget together with international support has been disbursed for National Project 2020. It is hoped that by the year 2020, the majority of young people in Vietnam will have developed stronger language skills in their communication and jobs, serving the cause of international integration.
For the first time, an international exhibition on the environment has been held in Hanoi. The event is part of the 4th National Environment Conference, organized every 5 years. About 30 booths from international and domestic companies are displaying their technologies at the two-day event, showcasing the strong commitment to protecting the environment.
Waste treatment has been a concern in today's environmental industry. For this business, their latest incinerator will be a strong point for them at the exhibition. This model is considered suitable for rural areas.
Waste treatment technologies are now popular in Vietnam, but they are not always suitable with Vietnam's current situations. Products like this can provide a solution to the problem and better serve customers in after-sales services.
Nearly a dozen companies from Korea, China and Japan also introduced their state-of-the-art product on this occasion. According to a representative from South Korea, this is a way to implement the Memorandum of Cooperation in the environmental field between Korea and Vietnam signed in 2014.
We want to introduce the latest technology from leading Korean enterprises. I hope that through events like this, Vietnamese and Korean businesses will have more chances to meet and cooperate, promoting exchanges for environmental protection.
The exhibition showcases technology through model displays, maquettes, video clips and photos on environmental protection in Vietnam and has attracted about 1,500 visitors.
More and more businesses have been attending the exhibition. This offers an opportunity for state managerial agencies, organizations, and companies to exchange experiences related to environmental protection.
Countries around the world, including Vietnam, are facing the problem of environmental degradation, which directly threatens the development process. Recognizing such challenges, this exhibition is a chance for both state and private entities to present their technologies and exchange experiences on environmental protection.
A conference that aims to promote responsible and sustainable tourism took place in Hoi An City in the central province of Quảng Nam on Tuesday. Now, the conference was held by Quảng Nam's Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Labor Magazine, and the UNESCO office in Vietnam. Representatives from various international tourism agencies raised their opinions and shared experiences on measures for developing responsible and sustainable tourism. Specifically, tourists and those working in the tourism industry should take responsibility to improve living conditions for local communities, promote the development of cultural tourism, reduce poverty, increase income, and develop tourism products that are eco-friendly. Now, combining literature and music, Ca Huế, or the Huế tune, is a genre of royal court music dating back to the Nguyen dynasty in the 17th century. With the aim of preserving the authenticity of this genre, a group of local artists and vocalists have joined hands to stage Ca Huế performances in the auditorium. Tiến Anh reports from the imperial city of Huế.
In the last few years, Ca Huế has become a tourism product of Perfume River cruise tours. This has led to changes in the performances that do not retain the authenticity of the genre. After years of being concerned about the quality of Ca Huế, Võ Quê, along with members of the Ca Huế Club, decided to found the Ca Huế Chamber Music Ensemble. These performances are part of an effort by the Ca Huế Club, founded 32 years ago, to preserve the authentic value of Ca Huế.
We currently hold free Ca Huế shows at the Morris homestage of the Huế Museum of Culture. This has returned Ca Huế performances to the chamber space. In this way, the show brings the real value of Ca Huế to visitors.
Thanks to the birth of Ca Huế stages like this, people nowadays have more opportunities to listen to authentic Ca Huế. As a result, they become interested in the art.
Besides performing basic tunes of the Ca Huế repertoire, both veteran and young artists have updated Ca Huế lyrics and performances in accordance with different music genres, such as Lý, Hò, and Chầu Văn folk songs. This has helped the ancient art form become even more popular. After a 2-year trial, the show has attracted a wide range of audiences.
So the first time I saw Ca Huế was a few years ago, and I saw it on the river, in a riverboat, and it wasn't so good. It was very different because it was just so much better. And the reason why it was better is because Mr. Quê knows, he's managed to accumulate people who have real talent for this and also real passion for it.
Ca Huế combines two musical genres, scholarly music and folk music. It is performed with traditional Vietnamese musical instruments such as the 16-string zither, 2-string fiddle, moon-shaped lute, and wooden clappers.
Ca Huế is known as a royal court music performed in the Huế Royal Palace. Nowadays, many Ca Huế lovers have made it suitable to a wide range of audiences, especially youngsters. Updated lyric performances and contents would be a solution helping preserve Ca Huế and increase its popularity. Tiếng Anh, Vietnam Television, reporting from Huế City Center.
Now the weather forecast comes next, giving you the latest updates on the weather scene. That's it for now on VTV News. You can find more of our coverage of the issues you care most about at vtv4.vn and youtube.com/vtv4go. This is Lan Anh. I see you again at 6 p.m. local time.